Clearing up the main misconceptions of feminism. I couldn't help myself, people. I know I'm an evil misogynist bastard from hell. So we got to go to here, right? TedX Youth at Nidode Aguilas, somewhere. Apologize for the mispronunciation, but I didn't practice today. It happens. Now, excuse me. Look at that nasty ass amateur night Ted over there. Could we have hired some men to do it? Oh, yeah.
Got stuck.
You're evil.
Look at there.
Yes. Hi.
Where there is some crazy lady. Oh my
Mhm.
God! Like in this picture, screaming, "Women are better than men," and then proceeding to go on a 2-hour-long speech on why men suck.
We've not seen that before. It's never happened. Just your imagine figment. A figment of your imagination, bro. Never, ever, ever. Because if you see that, that's not really feminism. No, you're just using your imagination evil.
And hopefully, many of you by now have realized that this is most definitely not feminism.
Really? What if I see it with my own two eyes? If I get on YouTube and I look up these crazy people screaming, that's not real. That's not what's going on. Not at all. Gotcha. And I wonder if the young lady here, I'm sorry, did I misgender her? This young person here has ever heard of something called the no true Scotsman fallacy. That's not really. No? She didn't get up to that in her classes yet? I'm sorry. There I go, misgendering again.
And so there have been several misconceptions about feminism.
Maybe not. Maybe that's the real thing. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe it's not a misconception. Maybe it's a real eyeballs can see it on the internet kind of thing. Maybe.
Due to actions such as these.
Okay, dear.
Where people believe that the goal of feminism is just to mistreat men and say that women are better than men.
So she's using a straw man here. Nobody is saying that. Or few. We're not saying that. What it is a movement to get the government to give women special treatment. Because after all, we're all equal, but some of us are more equal than others. I suppose that's a misconception too, Andrea. Really.
And today I would like to clear up that is incorrect.
Well, fucking A. We've been waiting for you for generations. So glad you finally showed up to tell us how we're wrong. Isn't that nice, guys? Chris Mitchell, the Canadian, is here. Hello. Let's continue for a little bit before we talk about the chat. Okay.
So, with the misconceptions, where do these misconceptions come from?
All right. Where do they come from?
Oh, the roof is leaking. So, these misconceptions usually come from...
Wait a minute, though. We're starting from the premise that these things that we can see with our eyeballs that are actually real, feminists screaming about whatever, are misconceptions. We're starting with that premise. So
the throwing around the word sexist.
Now, dear Andrea, maybe as part of your speech, you should make a point that's reasonable.
And so nowadays, especially on social media, the word sexist is thrown around in, like, I forgot the word, oops, in insignificant situations.
Okay.
Where people completely ignore or diminish the strong meaning of this word.
So, again, come up with something that people would say, shake your head. Yeah, okay.
And so,
and then, dear Andrea, go off into La La Land. Continue.
Some women who consider themselves feminists,
but they're not really. After all, that's not real feminism. Don't you know, evil hamster?
take an insignificant action, such as a man entering a building before a woman, and then not holding the door open for her, as sexist.
Is it sexist if a woman doesn't hold a door open for a man? Which happens far more often. No.
Crazy. This is such an insignificant little action. But these,
you might even call it a nanoaggression, if you wanted to give it a phrase.
Feminists consider it sexism, when in reality, it's not. The man was probably just late to work.
Again, throw some in common sense into your little speech, and then go off on a tangent. Funny. It's amazing how we've kind of figured out how this works. I know, young Andrea, what are you, 18? Yeah. Old people been around a long time, so we've kind of seen it before.
What really is sexism,
yes,
is when a man shames a woman or blames a woman for getting raped due to her, how intoxicated she was, or how revealing her clothing were.
What did I tell you guys? Here's a point that kind of makes sense, and then let's go off into the rabbit hole. Okay, Andrea, I'm going to call you on your nonsense. Tell me which men. There are millions of men. Tell me which one or two of these men blame women for getting grapefruited because they had too much to drink. Tell us who these people are. Point out a couple of examples. Go ahead. I mean, after all, we live in a patriarchal nightmare for women. There's got to be millions of men that would say these things, right? So you just point at one. This one over here, this guy over here, this guy over here. But you don't. Wonder why that is.
Saying that she was asking for it. Or
point at the men who say this.
in extreme cases, oh gosh, when girls do not have access to an education just because they have different reproductive organs.
So now we're talking about people overseas. We're not talking about Canadians, Americans, for the most part, the West. We're talking about some other country somewhere. See, that's why we need feminism. Because a woman in Burma can't get an education because she's a chick. Oh, little dear, no one can get an education in some places. Not just because they're women. because they don't have the infrastructure. They're third world countries. Do you understand? It's shitty for everyone. But let's talk about only the women.
And then that obligates them to stay at home and take care of their siblings and clean the house.
Oh, God forbid. So let's think about this for a minute. So let's just say we're in one of these countries. I don't know if Burma's that way, but pick a country, the hamster country somewhere. So she is forced to stay at home to take care of the home. What is the obligation of the man in this situation? Or your father, or your brother, or your uncle? What's his deal? He's got it that much better. Is that right? He's going to work at the office and having martinis for lunch and smoking cigars. Is that what you believe, Andrea? Or could it be that in the country of hamster, everything sucks for everyone? Have you considered that? Of course not.
Now that's sexism. And that's what feminism is really fighting against.
Really fighting against, right? Sexism. Mm-hmm. In the country of hamster. Right.
What I mentioned before.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God. What I mentioned before.
You think these young girls, young women, would know how to run their fucking shit? After all, being raised with smartphones and electronics their entire lives, could they just run the freaking projector? How hard is this? Sorry.
Was sexism.
Not sorry. You should practice. You should do a few dry runs of your speech so you know what you're doing. Is that sexist?
Directed towards women by men. And that's what feminism is fighting against.
Right.
But if we take a look at the other way around, sexism directed towards men by women, that has become the main misconception about feminism.
It's not a misconception. Misconception would be the incorrect perception. That's not incorrect. So why are you trying to weasel words in here, dear? It's not a misconception. It is the reality. Oh, but that's not real feminism, right?
The belief that feminism is the mistreatment of men, where women are just saying that they're better than men, that men are disgusting monsters.
Misconception, then. Me too. Me too. Forget that. That was when you were 10. Is that?
That's the main misconception of feminism that I would like to clear up.
Oh, good. Okay, well, give us some examples of how feminism isn't like that, because we'd all like to know.
What I cannot emphasize enough is that feminism is trying to give everyone equal access and equal opportunities.
Did you hear what she just said? Giving everyone. And her next sentence.
To diminish and just abolish the oppression and discrimination against women.
So, feminism is trying to abolish everything against everyone, except now it's against women. I wonder, does she even realize what she just said? I don't think so.
Emphasize is enough. Is that feminism is trying to give everyone equal access and equal opportunities.
Everyone. Equal access, equal opportunities. Everyone. And what does she say in the next sentence?
to diminish and just abolish the oppression and discrimination against women.
Now, wait a minute. I was all feeling kumbaya. I felt like I was getting a hug from the internet. You're going to smash the oppression against everyone. In your first sentence, in the second sentence, it's for women. Oh, isn't that nice? How did that happen so rapidly? In 10 seconds. Just curious.
Where both genders have the same opportunities, can make the same choices, and have the freedom of choice.
Like we do now.
Just like the word sexist, the word feminist and feminism are thrown around. And that's where the main misconception of feminism begins.
Or the correct perception, depending on your point of view.
Some women, as I mentioned before, consider themselves, quote unquote, feminists.
Okay, they're fembots. Got it. And?
However, they're not really feminists.
No Scotsman would have... No true Scotsman.
They use the word feminism to hide their sexism and excuse their mistreatment for men.
Okay.
These feminists consider body shaming and sexually assaulting women completely unacceptable.
Yes. Yeah. I don't want anyone to get assaulted. So I guess you could say I'm a fembot. What about men, though? No.
However,
yes.
Then, when these same actions are done to men, they completely ignore it.
Again, you throw in a couple of truth bombs, but then you're supposed to accept the rest of the nonsense. It's actually quite clever.
Like in the Oscars, when some actors who were male were being touched without their consent.
Yeah. Nobody says a thing. Why is that?
If this would have happened to female actors, the social media would have gone crazy.
As they should. But when some female grabs a guy's junk without his consent, that's just rough play. That's nothing. He liked it. He was wanting it in the first place.
When in reality, people should not be accepting either case.
Yeah.
If a person is sexually assaulted, body shamed, etc.,
Notice how carefully and craftily she put into the same category body shaming and SA. You believe that's congruent, do you? Do you believe the categories are the same, young Andrea? Calling someone fat is the same as assaulting them sexually? Really?
regardless of their gender, it should not be done.
We agree.
And that's what feminism is trying to do.
Bullshit. The very feminism you're talking about doesn't care if men are assaulted. They don't give a shit. Andrea, you're getting close to actually making something that makes sense here in your speech, but then you go off on these stupid little bunny rabbit trails. Feminism doesn't care about men who are assaulted. It's obvious. How do you know that, hamster? Why is it that the rate of rape in the United States doesn't include men in prison? Why would the fembots want to exclude that huge number? Why would that be? If they cared about men. Just wondering. Maybe you can help me out.
Make sure no one gets body shamed, no one gets oppressed, no one gets discriminated. Everyone has free choice.
Now, she went from body shaming to oppression to discrimination. When we're talking about sexual assault.
And free opportunities.
Free opportunities. Did you get that? Did you? Did you notice that?
No one gets oppressed. No one gets discriminated. Everyone has free choice and free opportunities.
Free opportunities. Mm-hmm.
Now, as I explained before, these feminists, quote unquote feminists, are just hiding their sexism, their mistreatment behind the word of feminism.
Again, there you go. A little bit of truth. And then down the rabbit hole.
Which completely undermines the meaning and goal of feminism.
Does it? What is the goal of feminism? And maybe you can help us understand.
Because when the public sees the actions of these so-called feminists, they're like, well, why would I support feminism if it's just mistreating men?
Again, fair point.
So they hold back on the progress of this movement.
Progressing to what? Might be the question you have in your mind.
Because they're like, I don't want to be oppressed. Like a man would say, I don't want to be oppressed. Why would I want feminism to progress?
Mm-hmm. Yes, Andrea.
And so they hold back on the progress of feminism.
Progressing to what?
Just because of these misconceptions and these misbeliefs due to the actions of these so-called feminists.
So the ones that are crazy, screaming about shit, they're not real feminists. You got it, guys? Not really. No. I'm a good feminist. Right?
The hypocrisy of these so-called feminists.
Oh.
When in reality, they should be letting feminism progress.
Progress to what? Progress to what? Seems like a simple query. Where are you going? Why should I help you to get wherever this is? It is. Goals never spoken, never outlined, is it? Wonder why that is. Wonder.
Make it flourish and achieve its goal.
What is the goal, Andrea? What is the goal?
Because in reality, feminism is trying to achieve equal ground for both genders.
Equal ground, right?
Where none of them are oppressed, none of them are judged, none of them are mistreated.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Again, back to the common sense. Sounds good. Who wouldn't buy into her argument here? But
that's the real goal of feminism.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Again, I really have to emphasize it. Feminism is not women saying they are better than men.
Despite the evidence to the contrary. Those aren't real feminists. Got it.
That's not what it's about.
Mm-hmm. So do tell, dear, what it is about then. Support your argument. What is it then? If it's not what we believe it is, tell us what it is.
It's not just switching the roles of discrimination with now women being better and men being the oppressed group. That's not what it's about.
Okay.
And these so-called feminists are really ruining that because they're making the public believe that that is what feminism is about.
Most certainly. So go on and tell us what it is not about. Get to the denouement, dear. Go ahead. Unwrap it for us.
And so it completely blurs the actual meaning and the actual goal of this important and essential movement.
Okay. I think we're about ready to hear what the essential goal and the essential movement is. Go on.
Which brings us to the question.
I didn't hear it. Maybe I missed it. Go back a little bit.
Essential movement.
So you're going to tell us then what it is. Yo.
Which brings us to the question, if that's not feminism, then what is feminism?
Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Go on.
Well, as I explained a few times before,
not very well.
Feminism is really free choice for women.
Okay.
Where women can make the choice that they want without the restrictions, without the limitations of oppression, of social roles, etc.
I mean, without the requisite responsibility to deal with whatever choices you make in life. Am I getting warmer?
Let's say a woman wants to be a CEO, and this is a very first world example.
She wants to be a CEO. Good. Good for her.
What this movement hopes to achieve is that that woman doesn't have restrictions.
You mean responsibilities? Okay.
Doesn't have to work harder than the man to get the same position.
Does she have to work as hard as the man, though? Because that would be oppression, wouldn't it? That'd be a restriction. I want that, so I should get it. But if I have to go through 90 hours a week, it's not right. It's not fair. Really? Okay, then.
Where this movement wants to give access and to the opportunities.
Give, notice. I mean, I hate to keep digging down into it, but you got to listen to the words. Give access. Not earn, not give her the opportunity to earn it. Give it to her. There's reasons.
Where this movement wants to give access and to the opportunities that would allow her to get that same position.
Tell me how she's not given the opportunities. Go ahead. It's your talk. Let us know how women aren't given the opportunity to become a CEO. Seems pretty straightforward. Go ahead. Point it out. Where were these barriers?
However,
the
movement doesn't want to give the woman the role immediately just because she's a woman either.
Bullshit. Andrea, have you even been paying attention? There are some movements, say in California, other states that want to demand that a certain number of females be on the board of directors, regardless of merit, only because they have a vagina. Did maybe you miss that? Perhaps? You think that's okay? Sounds like you don't. So why wouldn't you be fighting against such a thing? Curious.
Because then that would just be switching the roles. Then the men wouldn't get the same position just because they're a man. Instead, they would favor the woman just because she's a woman.
Mm-hmm. Or a trans, or a person of color, or anyone without a penis. That's where we're at, Andrea. Do you understand? Nope.
But as said before, the movement wants to remove those obstacles, remove the pay gap, remove the woman not having access to education that would.
In the United States, 60+% of females are in college. 40% are men. So where is the obstacle? What is the goal? Should it be 90% women in college? What's the number? Now, I thought you were about equality, dear Andrea. You might, I know it's hard. You're young, but there is a calculator. It's a thing. Type in 60% of something and 40% of something. Tell me which of those is the larger number. And women are somehow prevented from going to college. Just curious if you could help me understand. So I'm just a big fat old guy. You know, you young people thinking the new math. Tell me, in what world does 60% indicate that it's less than 40%? I'm wondering if you can help me.
Remove the pay gap, remove.
All credibility is gone, Andrea. You said the magic myth. And thus, from thenceforth and forever, whatever you say is bullshit. Bullshit. You said it, the pay gap. It's not true. It hasn't been for 70 fucking years. It's nonsense. And with the simplest of math, you can figure out how they calculate it. But evidently, you can't even calculate that 60% of something is more than 40% of something. This is fucking scary. These are the future. And look at this indoctrination. Look at this brainwashing right in front of you. And it's nothing against Andrea. I'm sure she's a wonderful, lady and all that stuff. And good luck to her. You live in the West, for fuck's sake. You sprinkle, thoughts of these countries where women can't go to college or whatever. Neither can men. But let's not talk about that. Let's talk about these countries where you scratch things out of the ground with sticks just to be able to eat. And somehow men are privileged and women are oppressed.
The woman not having access to education that would limit her from developing her skills to apply for that position.
Yep. And here we are, guys. Davina Duckworth says they perpetuate their lies. What they do is they conflate. They conflate things. They say, well, in this certain country somewhere, that Killer Hayes, no, your comments are here. I don't know what's going on. Isn't me. Isn't me. They conflate. They say, well, thus there's a woman somewhere, and that woman is relegated to staying at home, cleaning the house because evil men. Whereas in some of these countries, everyone has it bad. Let's not talk about that. Let's talk about the West, where 60 is less than 40 and women are oppressed. Yes, sir.
What the movement really wants to do is for both genders to be able to apply for that position.
Did she say both genders? Is she not up on the latest bullshit? There's no two genders. See? Everything happens so fast, even these young women don't understand. Good mother, by the way. Thank you for coming by.
And they would be
I
judged
sent you some drunk
on
songs.
their skills and capabilities for that position,
Yeah,
not
right.
on their gender.
Mm-hmm.
And prior to applying that position, the movement wants to give them both the opportunity to develop the skills that would benefit them for getting that position.
So, Andrea, you would be against affirmative action then, wouldn't you? After all, that's an unequal playing field. What about the government supporting female-owned businesses specifically? You'd be against that, right? Because that's not fair and balanced and equal and all that other stuff. Somehow I get the feeling, Andrea, you don't have an objection to that. Just saying. All right, I got to go. I got to eat. I'll see you guys later. Thanks a lot. Bye.